Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, Beard of Darkness Book Reviews, and today I'm dropping a dedicated book review, one that I've been waiting to do for quite some time. In fact, it was one of the very first review copies of a book that I saw, got a hold of the author, and he was gracious enough to send it to me to enjoy to read and then post a review about. This dedicated book review will be a spoiler-free review. Excuse my voice, I've had a little bit of a cold lately, so if I sound a little off, you're right. Please stick around to the end to hear some really exciting news about the channel. This also happens to be my very first space opera experience, and it was really fun. Wistful Ascending by JCM Berne. And guys, this was really good. This is also the first turn number 1 in the Hybrid Helix book series. There are currently three books that are out. The fourth book, Shadow of Hyperion, comes out on September 12th, 2023. Wistful Ascending is basically about a retired soldier from the Empire. His name is Rohan, and he's a really cool, interesting character, and he's well developed. He really just wants to continue basically in retirement, but he still works as what they call a tow chief, second class. He tows other spaceships to the Wistful, which is the spaceship in which he lives and works on. It's huge. As you read this book, you get a sense of how big that JCM Berne really wanted us to imagine that the Wistful is. There's passages of topics such as like shopping malls, lots of different food places to eat, there's grassy areas, there's streets, so all on this big huge spaceship. So it really captivates your imagination as you're reading and just imagining the day-to-day. Lots of people, a huge population on this one ship, and as other ships come and go, because it serves as essentially a base, I would say. So you've got like research ships that will come, you've got sometimes hostile ships, and sometimes these hostile ships, they end up being a positive part of the book, because sometimes enemies don't stay enemies. If I had one word to say about my first experience with a space opera, and this one in particular, the author made this a very fun read. There was funny parts, there's really good one-liners, there's lots of different races of aliens. There's some, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there are some aliens that mimic a certain animal that we know here on Earth. So there will be familiar traits among these aliens that you hear about, but there's also ones that are just really out there, like horns and purple skin and scales, and just really imaginative read. Since this is my first space opera experience and book that I've read, my recommendation is if you're like me before reading this, if you were curious about, hey, do I like sci-fi? Do I like space operas? Do I want to get more into the science fiction recommendations that I hear going around BookTube or wherever you like to find your recommendations? Then if that's the way that you're thinking, I would absolutely give this book a try, 100%, because that is exactly who I was. I didn't consider myself much of a sci-fi fan. Big shocker, I'm not into Star Wars. Gosh, I can't wait to see the comments. But I've tried. I like the first three, but I digress. So if you're curious about sci-fi, if you want to experience what a space opera is, because I wasn't sure there's terminology that I read and did some research, but I get what it is now. It's very imaginative, it's fun, it's in space obviously, so now is the part where I'm going to rate this book. And just getting to it, this is a solid, very solid 4-star book for me. My introduction to science fiction, really, into space opera 100%, and I really enjoyed it. I will be reading the second, third, fourth, whatever he comes out with. I love the characters, and I highly recommend it. So a solid 4-star rating. The reasons behind my 4-star rating, and we'll start with the positives. First positive, the main character. He's very well developed. He is empathized with. You find yourself rooting for him, or maybe sometimes feeling sorry for him, or feeling very inspired and encouraged by him. The people interacting with Rohan, the main character, they all have different relationships with him, and you get to see different sides of Rohan, and it's just really fun. So the characters and the world building are huge. The sense of vastness of the Wistful is brilliantly captured in the writing of JCM Berne. He does a great job of allowing you to get a beautiful image of how big Wistful is and what's going on inside of it. Huge population. You've got shopping malls. It seems like that's what I would say it is a shopping malls, like food courts. You've got grassy areas, so you can just imagine hills and valleys and buildings within this certain section of this ship. It's really hard to imagine at first, and as you keep reading, you find yourself building it little by little, and it just becomes this really cool picture. The last positive that I'm going to express, because there's lots of them, the amount of fun I had reading this book, and I'm going to break that down a little bit because it's pretty vague. There's humor, there's drama, there's action, and that is just a really good combination if you know what you're doing as a writer, and he does. To combine all of those, and it just makes for a very fun read. Okay, now the negative section. And guys, unlike the positives, I didn't have a lot of negatives. In fact, I only have one. And it was that there were a couple parts in the book where, and this could just be me as a reader, other readers of this book, that's why this is so subjective, and every reviewer is special and independent and able to give you a different perspective. I found myself confused in just a couple different areas. Some of the aliens you encounter speak differently than what we look at on a page as a constructed sentence. And it doesn't like give you a warning. Not that it should. I'm just saying in my brain, my simple brain, when it was switched over to the dumbed down dialogue of another race speaking to Rohan, or somebody who speaks great sentence structure, I was confused. Overall, recommend this book, Wistful Ascending, 100%. And now here's the little bit of special news that I wanted to let you guys know. Okay, so tomorrow is August 11th, 2023, and JCM Berne and I will be doing an interview together. I'm very excited. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I hope you guys tune in, drop some questions and comments, and just enjoy the interview because it's going to be really fun. And if you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. That always helps the channel grow. I really would appreciate it.